I'm really proud of today's presentation. I'm grateful to the OEC team that put it together. I'm really grateful to our partners who are here to talk about ways that they're working in collaboration with OEC on professional learning and professional development. I think as commissioner, about a year and a half ago, we held some listening sessions with directors before the whole Blue Ribbon panel hearings. And something we heard again and again from programs is that we really want to know what's available from OEC. We really want to know how we can get better and what's available to let us do that. I also am really taken with the field because during family child care negotiations, even when we had agreed on what the increase would be, the Family Child Care Union said, but we really want professional development more available. So it's just an amazing industry where people work so hard all week to do this well and then say, I want to get better. And so today we're going to talk about professional learning and professional development. And OEC is working on communicating those resources based on your feedback. I will say, as I was getting ready for today, I was remembering being a child care director. And sometimes the teachers would come to me and say, I can't believe the parents didn't do that. We told them in a note. I told them when they picked up. Don't they know on Fridays they have to take the blankets home to wash them and bring them back on Monday? Like, why can't they get this? And it's so easy to do that. But in fact, you cannot communicate enough. There aren't enough ways or styles or tools to communicate enough. That's what I learned as a child care director, that with parents, you can't communicate enough. And with OEC, we can't communicate enough. And so we're going to continue to work on communicating with you resources that are available that you're so eager to have. And I'll also say, I just have a team at OEC and with our partners who really are there and really care about supporting your learning and you as an adult learner and trying to really think about that. A lot of time early childhood folks are really good at teaching young children, but teaching adults is a little different. And a lot of it has to do with how adults are coming at you, which I know we're going to talk a little bit about that today. I think the panels that are here today are really going to give you the on-the-ground context, both big context about what's available, but also context about the work they're doing to support early childhood programs. So I think you're in for a treat there. And I would just say, you can use the chat, you can use email, but let us know how we can communicate better with you about professional learning. I feel like today's the beginning of a really important conversation that's going to continue, and it's got to be a two-way conversation, like any conversation. So Deb Adams is going to kick us off. And Deb, I'm so grateful for your good thinking here today. And I know we're going to have some Deb Adams pictures and metaphors. I can't wait. I'm especially excited about the trees. So everybody enjoy the workshop. I'll be listening in as well.
Well, hi, everyone. I'm so happy to be here and learning with everyone and being able to have this conversation with you. And I know there's not a lot of back and forth that will happen like really live in this, but it's an opportunity to sort of discuss a little bit about professional learning. And is it for you or is it not? And professional development, what is that? Why am I using the term professional learning? So when Lauren and I got together and started to discuss the idea of this activity, we were going back and forth with really what is the difference, and taking a look at professional learning in ways that really get at who you are and who you want to be. So we're going to start off, we started off with some welcome and logistics, and we're going to hear from voices from the field, actually you, and we'll have a panel discussion, some more voices from the field that we have some videos for, and a closing message. So that's sort of the order of the day, and we'll just sort of jump right in, right? So of course, Beth, yes, I have tons of pictures always to share, and I tend to speak in pictures more or less and try to carry a message. But before we actually get started, right, I'm going to ask everybody just to breathe for a second. Take a pause. Breathe, take a breath, get settled. If you have a piece of paper, sticky note, pen, pencil, if you're in your car, hopefully you're not driving, just carry these thoughts with you, all right? When you think of the words professional learning, what comes to mind? Kind of scratch down a couple of words. Hold that to your side. So professional learning. Take a second, write a few things down. No writing while you're driving, if you're driving. Okay, so hold that to the side. So when I think of professional learning, it's like an adventure, right? From the known to the unknown and back again. Often it needs supports from others if you really want to have an exchange to help build a bridge between your current understanding and a new understanding. How better to do that than to talk to other people? But it always includes you, pulling from your experience and your own curiosity. What do you want to learn? What do you think is needed for you to grow as a person and as a professional? And professional learning is specific to your environment, and it should be grown within your environment. It should be in context. It's about you, and the adventure really never ends. So those are just sort of some things that come to mind at first when I think about professional learning. We're going to go a little bit deeper. So why aren't we calling this session professional development? Yes, it's for you. So you got that slip of paper, right? Turn it over if you have some space on it. So what do you think professional development means? Write down a couple of words there or think about a couple of thoughts about what professional development means. We're going to kind of hold that to the side. I'll give you a second to think about that. One side of your paper is professional learning, and the other side of your paper is professional development. I'm going to explore a little bit more if there's a difference. And here's one of your favorite pictures, Beth, about the trees. We're going to be intrigued about the trees. And I often look at nature all the time. For people who know me, I'm an avid gardener. Love to get outside, work with nature. I always looked at nature as being wise, especially trees. So I found this little poem and thought it was really cool. And a tree stretches itself downward into the soil, as well as upward and outward toward the sky, to capture the glow of the sunlight and drink from those atmospheric delights that waft past its swaying branches. But like the tree, we must stretch ourselves towards those places that nourish us to our full potential. A lot of wisdom can be found in nature. We just kind of notice things and take time to just look around and ask ourselves really good thinking questions. And I think that's a key to things, asking yourself good thinking questions. Now go back to your slips of paper and the thinking of the difference between professional learning and professional development. There has been some talk, there's been some writing about a difference between professional learning and professional development. Basically, professional learning has more to do with a process of learning and what is meaningful to the learner. It's about critical reflection. It's about real world context, it's about your situation. It challenges your assumptions. And professional development is more focused on a message or maybe a piece of content. Now, before the panelists get upset with me about professional development and professional learning and design and whatnot, it's not one or the other. It can be both. This isn't pitting one thing against another. It's not something either or. It's really both. And so this webinar is to kind of like hopefully bring about awareness of professional learning as processes that can happen in professional development if it's designed well, but also people need to kind of maybe look for professional learning and look for the clues in descriptions of that next big professional development thing that everyone's going to. Do you think it's going to challenge your assumptions? Is the description really rich? Is it going to make you really think about the things that you need to be a better person and a better professional? It happens within you, doesn't necessarily happen to you. And that is what makes all the difference for growth. So there are elements of professional learning that can be in professional development design. So we're going to go back to nature again. Love the nature piece, and especially around trees. When you think about a tree that's you've seen cut down, anywhere, and the rings. I think most people probably have seen rings of a tree or a branch that's fallen. And those rings represent what? Growth. They represent the growth of the tree over time. So there is a place for professional development, professional learning in your growth. And I love this picture, especially the little circle at the bottom. You see the larger tan area there that says spring and summer growth. Most of the growth happens for a tree in the spring and summer because it has rich resources available. Well, what happens in the spring and the summer to create that rich environment? It's rainy, sunny, temperature is about right. A lot of growth happens during the spring and summer. But that doesn't mean no growth happens in the fall. It just means a little bit of growth happens in the fall because those resources aren't as abundant. So if you think of professional development, professional learning in the same way, professional development that has those learning elements as part of it, that critical thinking, those experiences of talking to others, your peers, your coaches, your mentors, things that make you go, I didn't really realize that, or make you really analyze the situation that you're in to solve a problem. Those are going to create better growth opportunities for you as a person, actually. But that doesn't mean nothing happens in professional development either. Professional development that doesn't have maybe all of those great things that I'm talking about also can help you say, wow, I'd really like to learn more about them. Professional development that might be more of awareness types of activities that sort of spark your interest that say, yeah, I want to dig deeper into that. So it's not about one or the other. It really is about growth in both. Just like the rings of the tree, 1 year growth equals that light tan part and the darker tan part. You've got to take those two things together to equal 1 year of growth. It's not one or the other. It's both. So I mentioned spark, and it wouldn't be a presentation from me if I didn't have something about the brain, right? Well, that's our brain. That's what's happening in our brain when we are excited about something, when we're learning something, when something sparks your interest. You kind of stand up, you kind of say, hey, I really want to think about that. And those synapses start firing in the cells of your brain. And that's what your brain looks like when you're learning. So I want you to stop and think for a minute. We're going to use our brain right here. Okay. Can you think of a time when you attended a professional development session and you felt like you wanted to be somewhere else? And I hope it's not this session. Okay. I hope it's another session that you might be thinking of. So think for a minute. Have you been to a professional development session where you thought, not for me, rather be somewhere else? Got that in your head? Now think of a professional development or professional learning session when you said to yourself, I'm really excited about this. I want to go back. I want to try it. I got to talk to my friends. I want to look more up about that. When's the next one? What are the differences? What happened in one session versus what happened in another session? Some elements might be time. Maybe there are some professional development sessions that go on for a period of time and just isn't a one-shot deal. Maybe some professional development sessions included lots of learning activities with peers. being able to move around, being able to ask yourself questions meaningful and relevant to a situation that's occurring in your program, an opportunity to share perception, your perception about things, and your perspective about things generally can be found in a lot of learning environments. And I just want to kind of go back a little bit to this idea about your perception. And the fine line between professional learning and professional development. Because we all hear professional development all the time. It's what we call it, professional development. But it's your perception of what you think professional development is or should be that's going to make all the difference. If you think it should be more, then you should look for more. So we're going to play a little game here real quickly. Take a look at these pictures. What do you see? Hold it in your head. Do you see more than one thing in each of these visuals? You may have seen some of these before in the past. It's a very common sort of visual experience about what your brain is perceiving right now. Our brains fill in the blank. Is the picture with the dots and what looks to maybe be a cube really, is the cube really there? Or is our brain filling in the missing information? Do you see a rabbit or do you see a duck? A lot of people right now are saying, oh, it's a duck. And other people are saying, oh, it's a rabbit, because they saw the other. Because your brain filled in based on your experiences of images that you've seen in the past of a rabbit or a duck or a cube or dots, filled in all that information. That builds up your perception. So can professional learning be built into professional development? Absolutely it can. It depends on how you think about what good professional development should be. And it means having a conversation, right? It means asking yourself questions. And if you don't like asking yourselves questions, ask others. I'm always going around and asking people their ideas because it helps me filter my information that I know and understand based on my experiences. All those questions, the things that you notice, the data, the information, all those things that make you go, huh, they're filtered through your filter of life, your experiences and how you see yourself and how you see the world. Well, the next person might not have those same experiences. And we create a judgment because we're human. We make a decision, we take action, but shouldn't we stop and check our assumptions? So professional learning with peers, a coach, a mentor should help us ask ourselves those critical thinking questions to be better informed and make better decisions. And that's what good professional learning will do. This may be familiar to some people as well, this ladder thing. It's a ladder of inference. And it sort of like takes your perception and on steroids says, wait, I'm going to ask myself, do I need this? What will this help me with? What's the data that I am seeing in my classroom now that should be informing my next decision on professional development so that I can help the children and families in my program? Who am I doing this for? Am I doing it for me? Am I doing it for children and families? The answer really is both, because when you take professional learning really seriously, you grow as a human as well as a professional. So are you ready to look deeper into yourself and deeper into your practice? And who can help support you with those questions and those assumptions? So when you're looking for professional development and professional learning opportunities, think of all the possibilities taking something new and challenging can provide for your growth as a human, as a professional. Because growth is good. Growth is healthy. And it starts with you because it's about you. It's not just about the content in the next big thing coming down the pike. And it's connected to your emotional health and well-being. Making connections with others supports those positive relationships, and it provides opportunities for sharing perspectives that enhance your professional growth. Confidence is fostered when we can share what we know and practice new ideas. And competence is cultivated when new ideas and practices become real and are shared. So it is about you. How we act, how we think, and how we feel matters in our professional and personal lives. And what we bring to the table influences what we get from the experience. So next time when you're looking through those catalogs, and we're going to go to our panel in a few minutes and talk about where we can find some things, take a deeper look. Ask yourself, take a leap and challenge yourself. Who am I doing this for? How is this going to help me? What do I feel I need to know? Look deeper at those offerings and say, ooh, I like the words that they use there. I think I'm going to get a good reflective experience out of this. I think that this is going to really help me in my situation right now, because we want everything to help you now, right? So I know it's really tempting sometimes to take the next big thing, or you have to take something to fill your hours. But I'm encouraging everyone to really look deeper into professional development and look deeper to find the professional learning that occurs within that professional development, because it is about you. And it's about how better you can be as a human and how better you can be as a professional. So who better to speak than a person from the field, a teacher, a toddler teacher from the field, because we have a few videos that we want to show you, and one of them is Simone. And Simone is a toddler teacher, and she's going to describe her experience about professional development, probably in much better way than I just did in the last 15 or 20 minutes. So thank you for listening to me and doing some good thinking, and enjoy the rest of the webinar, and keep those pieces of paper handy and really think some more about the difference of professional development and professional learning. And I'm going to turn it over to Jen, who's going to share a video from Simone, a toddler teacher who speaks about professional learning.
I didn't start my career with a childhood education, so I immediately felt at a bit of a disadvantage. I often received a lot of praise about being a rock star teacher, but there was a little bit of that imposter syndrome. But after I started going to professional development opportunities, that started to fade away. I gained a lot of confidence in what I was doing, a better understanding, that foundation that I needed to just truly be present in the classroom without worrying about my own anxieties. I'll admit there were some times where I thought, do I really need to be doing this, especially on my own personal time? And I'll blame that sort of on my arrogance of youth, because I did need it. And I'm so grateful that I was pushed to do it. I've grown not only in my own knowledge, but in my ability to share it with other teachers, in my ability to share it with parents, and my ability to use the knowledge that I've gained and exciting to me. I didn't expect that initially, but it's been electric almost to have that spark of connection, development, and you go into the classroom and then something happens and bam, you get to use it. Those professional development opportunities inspired me to go out and learn more, to do my own reading, to do a little bit more digging into what I was excited and curious about. It's allowed me to connect a bit more deeply in my profession, and I don't have to rely on good instincts or past experiences because I have this great foundation of knowledge. I've gained so many perspectives through which to look at what's happening in my classroom, and I'm still learning. Our team has been able to work together more collaboratively, whether that's because we shared a professional development experience together, or if one of us has gone out on our own and found some piece of information that was so profound and so inspiring, they couldn't wait to share it. Our time with children is already such a magical and cherished experience. But with each step we take, when we learn more, when we grow, that time that we spend with children becomes more impactful. Families are able to rely on me more. They're able to ask me those deeper questions, and I'm able to speak from a place of real knowledge versus just what I think might be helpful. The trust that gets built because I can more deeply understand the motivations behind children's behaviors is truly profound. I know to look deeper, and the children reflect that trust and understanding back to me. We're able to dig deeper into our explorations and provocations because teachers are able to take the time to reflect and have patience while children are working, because we're looking to understand, because we're looking to connect to so many of those things that we've learned during professional development opportunities.
Wow, what a message from Simone. We are so thankful that we were able to receive those words from Simone. But even before that, we heard a wonderful message from Deborah Adams. Thank you so very much for reminding us all of the importance of professional learning and why it is an ongoing process. And so we do not want to have the learning to end there. We are now very fortunate to be able to have our panel discussion. And so we want, before introducing each panelist, we want for everyone to know that each person on the panel represents an entity that provides professional development and professional learning opportunities around the state. Their services range from family child care, center-based programs, to public schools. And so let us first introduce Diane Gazemba, who is speaking on behalf of the Regional Education Services Center, RESC Alliance, and she is the Director of Early Childhood Initiatives at EastCon. Thank you for joining us, Diane. Next, we have—
Thank you for having me.
Oh, of course, thank you. Next, we have Dana Holohan, who is the Director of Professional Development at All Our Kin. Thank you for joining us, Dana. We have Paquita Jarman-Smith, who is a consultant with the State Education Resource Center. Thank you for joining us, Paquita. Then we have Karen Rainville, who is the Executive Director for the Connecticut Association for the Education of Young Children. Thank you for joining us, Karen. And we have Kathy Wilby, who is an early childhood specialist at United Way of Connecticut. Thank you for joining us, Kathy. And last but certainly not least, we have our very own Jeannie Regner, who is Quality Improvement System Manager with the Connecticut Office of Early Childhood. Thank you for being with us as well, Jeannie. And so we do have some questions we would like to ask for all of you, and going to give everyone an opportunity to respond. The first question is, why do you think professional learning is important? Why do you think professional learning is important? Diane, may you please start?
Sure. Professional learning is really important because it actually brings new learning to life. When I think about professional learning, it's something that's individualized. It's something that's unique to that person where they are in their own journey, in their professional journey, as they continue along a pathway hopefully in a trajectory in a direction that they want to head. But sometimes we don't always know that. So when we're on our professional learning journey, we may try different things and see how they fit for us. So I think when we're working with adult learners and when we're working with building a new workforce right now in early childhood, it's really important to think about where people are currently and where we're starting with and what knowledge base our teams have when we're going to meet with them to provide professional learning. And also to make sure that we are supporting them in evidence-based practices that we know work to support them in a way that's engaging and in an ongoing continuous way too. So for me, professional learning is not just about training, but it's also about coaching. Coaching, developing relationships with people so that we're supporting them, meeting them where they are, and helping them be reflective and to set some goals for themselves. It may also be around mentoring and supporting people in a different way. That way, maybe being in a similar type of position and supporting somebody because I've got more knowledge and I can support them that way to help them grow. So to me, it's really about growth.
Thank you. And we'll just have the conversation to organically flow. So whomever would like to go next, please just jump right on in.
I'll jump in. I think Diana's exactly right. I think this is it's a process and it's a continual growth process that allows educators to learn and grow at their own pace. I think, things are constantly changing in this field, and remaining current in the research and in evidence-based practice is really important. And I think there's an element of confidence that educators get as they continue in their professional growth. And I think that really leads them to have continued excitement about what they do. In addition to improving practices in classrooms, equally as important is, I think, the internal benefits that professionals gain and feel as they learn and become confident in what they do and see that implemented in classrooms when they go in every day and things get easier, or they have that aha moment where they can say, I tried it, I learned this, I tried this, wow. Right. And so as we look at wanting to retain educators and find ways to elevate what they do, I think professional learning is key to all of that.
I'm going to jump in here because she said elevate. That's my
Key
that's
right
my
into you.
So really professional learning is really an investment, right? As a professional, to build up our quality as a professional so that we can ensure that we're supporting the children and families that we're working with on a continuous basis. And part of that too is, we have a lot of requirements that we have for professional learning and professional development. And a piece of that is because we want to make sure that the people that are in these positions are successful and that they have the tools that they need so that they know what they need to know so that they can be successful in their positions, right? So there's the professional learning so that we can start them off and build them with the skills that they need, such as health and safety requirements and those kinds of things. And then the professional learning and the professional development that we can really build up their desires, their needs based on what's happening within their centers and their families and the growth in those aspects. And like Karen said, research is always changing and there's just so many growth areas in those aspects. So professional development and professional learning is really an investment as a professional.
Okay, I got two thoughts. I want to go next. Okay. The first thing that came to mind why is professional learning important is, number one, it prevents teachers from burning out. I speak from my own experience. I started as a family child care provider. I remember, going through a year going, yeah, this is great. We got all these activities. And then January hit and it's like, can't you kids go play? And then I went to a conference in February and it was like, oh yeah, this is important work. This is exciting. And I went back and with renewed energy to care for the kids. So preventing burnout is number one. Number two, listening to Simone talk reminded me of the process that people go through when they go for a CDA. So I used to teach those classes and the students would come in and they'd be like, well, I was kind of good at it. People recommended I take these CDA classes. And then by the time you got them through to the end of the course, you couldn't shut these students up because they had so much to say about the work they were doing. And I thought that was where Simone was. It was, a visual model that Deb would love, I'm sure, about the unconsciously competent person And that's where Simone was at the beginning, a rock star teacher. But by the time she was going through her training, oh, I can talk with confidence to the parents. This is great. So that's where professional development is going to lead us through that process of going from unconsciously competent to consciously competent. I know why I'm good, and I can tell you why I'm good. So I just think that's why professional development is important.
And I can chime in, Kathy, you and I share a background. Paquita Jarman-Smith, consultant at the State Education Resource Center, started as a home care provider with little to no early childhood background. And for me, the professional development is so important because on a personal level, everyone in this field and in our workforce should have the means to see pathways where they can start and where they can end up. And professional learning, that can give you the bolster, the confidence, the wherewithal to meet your own personal goals and needs. I found myself not only earning a CDA, but teaching CDA courses just like you, Kathy, and teaching on the college level, things I never imagined were possible for me. But even in my days working in centers, I always wanted to inspire the people that I work with, the staff, to let them know that our programs are here. We're like a big community that wants to support not only the learners within our workforce, but the programs that are giving us them. And so all of it's important for professional learning and development to have a place that supports you in achieving your goals and knowing that and believing in you that you're going to be successful. I also would like to share one last thing that's personal for me. It's just, knowing that you're giving of yourself. Once you have those skills and goals that you have, you're giving of yourself to the children and to the families. And I think that's important that they know that we're there, we're vested in them, all of the evidence things that everybody talked about, all of that comes together for our community of learners.
I have a couple of thoughts. I think that working with adult learners is exciting because there are so many things to be reminded of that we've kind of absorbed over our lives and maybe have forgotten. And I think that sometimes adults think that there's nothing left to learn, like we know everything. So I really get excited when I get to remind adults that actually we can learn new things our entire lives, and our brains might lose a little bit of plasticity, but they do actually remain plastic our entire lives. And there are always new things to learn. There are always new ways to see things. So that's one really fun thing about professional learning. And the other thing I would say is that, we're all in the learning profession and the teaching profession. And so there are lots of parallels that happen between, what we adults are learning and what the children are learning. And I think that it's really good to be reminded as adults that learning is fun. Learning can be fun. Learning should be fun. And to be reminded of what it feels like to love learning. And then to sort of take those feelings and pass them on to children, because children also in their own learning kind of need to learn to love learning and to need to learn that learning is fun. So the more we can do that for ourselves, the more we're able to model that for children.
Wonderful. All of you, wonderful, very insightful responses, and so appreciate the level of authenticity in what you have shared as to why professional learning is important. And so with that, going into the next question, which is if you can please share a success and a challenge regarding your work with designing and delivering professional learning experiences. Again, please share a success and a challenge regarding your work with designing and delivering professional learning experiences. And I'll pass it to Karen, and then you all can flow in as you choose.
I think that's a great question. I think the first thing that comes to mind for me is what we've learned over these last few years, specifically around the use of technology. I think it's opened up new opportunities to reach professionals in ways that we may not have thought about before, doing virtual sessions, hybrid sessions, just the element of access for providers, I think has been a big win, probably for all of us around the squares. For my agency, I think we have experienced great success when we work in professional learning community models. So going deeper into both content as well as the peer support that you develop through a professional community that lasts longer than one-off sessions, right? I think there's a place for that. I think, there are things that can be learned through conferences where you attend for a day. But I also think there's deep commitment and relationships that are developed when you are in a group of your peers in a learning community. And we've had great success with that, both in working with center-based providers as well as family childcare providers. Translation, I think we've found new ways to reach bilingual educators, which is really, really important in the work that we do. So those would be the things that come to mind in terms of successes. I think for challenges for us, I think finding ways to not have this be another add-on for a professional outside of their day-to-day hours, right? So how do we embed professional learning into the days and times where educators don't have to do it solely in the evenings when they're home with their families, and finding ways that allow programs to make it part of an educator's day where professional learning is valued as much as the time they spend with children in the classrooms. I think that's continues to be a challenge for every program. But I think it's really important that we find ways to embed that into the responsibilities of day-to-day responsibilities with staff.
Karen, I love what you just said, and I'm going to take your challenge and make it a success. So the idea of embedding professional learning into somebody's day, I think, happens many times through coaching, because there's really the opportunity to develop a relationship with somebody, to get to know them on a deeper level over a period of time. So it's not the one-shot deal. And so you have the opportunity to grow with that person. So you actually are growing as an individual, also as a coach, but there's that opportunity to connect, to use their curiosity to help them on their journey, but at the same time, to notice what they're really good at and to build upon that. So I like to do a strength-based model in coaching and thinking about how we can support people, and then also to connect to administrators. So I think sometimes it can be both part of a success and a challenge, is the connection with the community administrators or public school administrators who are also very busy, right? So especially with staffing issues that have occurred over the past few years. So really it's a commitment. And I think somebody said earlier, I think it was Jeannie said, it's an investment, right? I always looked at professional learning for myself as a personal investment, but also that professional investment comes to life when we truly understand within a program what we need to do to support all of the individuals that work in our programs. So, how can we make it work? How can we make it work better? I think my challenge has mostly been around technology, which is kind of ironic since I supported the GARE initiative. But I just love face-to-face in person. So being online and virtual is not my preferred method of communication, though I think it can work. You know, we've learned that it can, and learning how to support one another in a different way. So I definitely am using Zoom much more to coach even, because I can connect, I can save time for them too. So figuring out right now, I think I'm at a point with what's working well and what do I need to adjust and shift. So I'm still learning about those pieces too, because what it's really done is has opened up a world where people say, oh, I can plug in. But I want to make sure when people plug in that they're really engaged. And that can be a challenge when we're doing some of the training online, particularly. I think we can go into breakout rooms, but because sometimes people don't have the technology to support them, or sometimes there's a room full of people on one phone or on one computer. So we're still challenged with that at times, which I can't believe that we still are, but we are.
I'd like to jump in with some of the successes that I've had over the years has been when we learn together with our families, the educators and the families together. They have been, especially when you're talking about something that isn't a one shot, where there's multiple opportunities to grow and learn, particularly in early childhood when we're thinking so much about the family and what they have as their strengths and how that can be reflected in the curriculum and in the classroom and in the ways that we engage young learners. I have enjoyed that, the family educator come together over the years. And I will say that seeing what you said, Diane, learning coming to life. I reflected on when I was working in a Montessori program years ago, and then this October, we had an event at CERC where we brought families, Black and Latino families together to celebrate their culture. And we had dancing, we had music, we had the kids could draw and art, all of the wellness things. And to see the smiles on those parents' faces when their kids were, were singing or practicing or learning the bamba, it was priceless. It was priceless. I will say that the logistics behind all of that was a challenge, because families don't move like educators and the systems we have for educators. How do you reach them? That was a challenge, trying to find ways to connect with the families and relying on the educators to kind of help us with those connections. And when families and educators come together, we want to think about them being comfortable, their enjoyment, and, that's food, that's, finding out and digging into what they really, really want to learn about together. But it's worth it. It's well worth it. Using technology can help with some of those challenges, but I think the more we think as a workforce about the times when families and educators can come together and how that can be a successful learning, I think that's a good thing to consider as well. Thank you.
I think one of the silver linings of COVID has been sort of related to what you're talking about. Like, we were kind of forced to adopt technology, and how can we make the best of it? And one of the ways that we did at All Our Kin was we started setting up panel sessions of family childcare educators. So we would kind of come up with a topic, like, let's say, outdoor learning or nutrition, and we would invite family childcare educators to be panelists and to kind of talk about their own experiences. And then we would have other family childcare educators in the audience. So it was a great way to promote peer-to-peer learning. It was a great way for some educators to kind of get some public speaking experience and experience with making PowerPoints and things like that. So that was a big success coming out of the difficult days of COVID. And another success is, related to just how inspired I always am, and we are as an organization by our family childcare educators, and just how much they invest in themselves, in their professional learning. So we just finished a CDA course and we're graduating 33 family childcare educators who, you know, just the fact that they spent so many hours with us is just, yeah, it's really exciting. So that's a recent success. In terms of challenges, I think one that we struggle with sometimes as an organization is how to balance sort of planning and budgeting and all the kind of like rigid pieces of the world of professional learning with the other side, which is flexibility, meeting educator need in real time. And I think that we always try to do it. I think we don't always do it in the best possible way, but that's something it's kind of like a tension and a challenge that we're always facing. And we really want to be as flexible as possible, but sometimes the more rigid parts of planning and staffing professional learning kind of get in the way of that.
Would anyone else like to respond to that?
Well, sure. Technology was huge. We do a lot of the Care for Kids provider orientations for the home-based family providers and the relative caregivers, and having to do that in Zoom. And it was just a skill I didn't think I was going to have to learn at this point in my life. And it's also a skill that a lot of our participants have been struggling with. So we open our meetings an hour early just to make sure that people can log in and we can help solve any technology issues. So here I am. I've just learned how to use Zoom myself, and I'm coaching other people how to solve their problems in it. So that's been an interesting trip. Another challenge is that at United Way, we used to do a lot of the one-offs for providers, but we've changed our focus to doing family discussion groups. So we ask a site if they would be willing to host a family discussion group that someone from United Way, me or a colleague, would come out and facilitate an hour-long discussion. And we've got 10 different topics that we do. Toilet learning is big. But this has been a challenge because when you're talking to childcare providers, it's children in general. But when you're talking to parents, it's a specific child. And that has been kind of an interesting refocusing for my professional development and learning how to just approach things from a different point of view. So that's been a challenge and it's been a success. So these family discussion groups have been incredibly successful. I'm doing at least 4 to 5 a month now. So they've been kind of fun. So a challenge and a success.
Thank you so much for sharing. And oh, pardon me, please. Yes.
Yes, Lorna, I did have something I want to say. It's a little bit of a different scope. So I don't know if this is a real thing, but a positive challenge, if that's possible. So one of the positive challenges that we've had is that there are so many professional learning opportunities within the state, right? There's so many things available for providers. And one of the challenges is for providers to be able to locate where they can find all of these happenings and how can I sign up? How do I know where it's happening? And where's the Zoom link? Where's all of this information? And so that's been a challenge that we've been facing. And so one of the big successes that the OEC has had recently is that we have really put a lot of focus on professional learning and professional development and how we can support providers in being able to find a place and a home and be like, okay, where can I find everything? And so we have updated the website. And so now you can go on and look through professional development, and we have, which this is really very exciting news, that there's an actual calendar that you can go on that we have through Projects. And Protracts is something that the OEC has been creating with a lot of professional development opportunities, professional learning opportunities, that you can go in and you can search different opportunities. You can search by topic, you can search by day. And we've developed this website for you to be able to kind of look and see, you know, all right, I really need something like this month. I have all of my staff, and so this is a really good week or a good month that we can get some professional learning opportunities in. And so we've created this space where we've pulled in different places where you can get learning opportunities. And we've really put it in a way that's comprehensive, we hope, to providers. And we've put in tutorials on how you can sign up and register for things. So it's been a really big success. Like, we're very excited about it. So I hope you can feel my excitement through the screen. Can you feel it? Can you feel it? So we're gonna obviously share more information, but it is really big and exciting news. And Protracts is something that it's that having this calendar where you can go on and search topic and events, like this is great stuff for all of you. And so we're excited about that. And we want people who are providing these professional learning and professional development opportunities to be able to, you know, is it like, I got all these people to sign up because they were able to go to this one place and find all of the opportunities available. So that's been a big success for us. So I'm happy to share that. And so thank you for that opportunity.
Of course, and thank you for sharing. And yes, feel the energy, feel the excitement. And yes, yes, yes. And that energy and that excitement is a great segue to our next question. And thank all of you already for the wonderful wisdom you have shared. With this next question, what is your hope for the future in your work as a designer and deliverer of learning experiences? Again, what is your hope for the future in your work as a designer and deliverer of learning experiences? And if I may, I'll pass it to Dana. You all may respond as you choose.
Thanks, Lauren. I love this question. So one general hope is just a continued innovation, you know, getting together, talking, understanding, as many colleagues have said today, that things are always changing. And how can we stay abreast of those changes and continue to innovate as professionals? Specifically thinking about family childcare, I envision a future where more and more educators are involved in kind of delivering learning to others, because I think no one knows more about family childcare than the educators themselves. And I would love to help develop more chances for the educators to share their knowledge and their wisdom with others. And I think part of that has to do with maybe allowing for more in-service days for family childcare, maybe allowing for a bigger chunk of time when they're allowed to be away from their programs so that they can participate in some of these opportunities, because time is especially an issue for family childcare because they don't have built-in staff necessarily to cover their programs.
I would agree with Dana. We work with both center-based and family childcare, and I think that the element of time is just a huge challenge, right? And so my hope is that we find a way to embed professional learning into the norm for a schedule within the educator's day, right? How do we make it part of what they normally do and not make it always an extra and an add-on, right? And I think also making it connect to personal growth, be it connecting through a CDA, connecting towards an associate degree, connecting towards a baccalaureate degree, whatever that individual's professional goals are, that professional development is connected to that leads to better compensation. I don't think I could get off this webinar if I didn't make the connection between professional learning and where we want to see this field go in terms of uplifting the importance of what we do, what every educator does, and the importance of the commitment they're making to their own professional growth and continuing to find ways to have that lead to the compensation challenges that we face in this field. And then I think the final thing would be to find a way to regularly include coaching in professional development. It's very expensive, but the benefits far outweigh the cost of doing it. And I think the more we try to embed coaching, as Diane was talking about, as a routine part of professional learning, I think the better educators will fare.
I just got two quick comments. Dana, I did start out as a family child care provider, and CREC at the time had money to support family daycare associations, and they paid for family providers to take how to be a presenter class. I think it was 30 hours long. It was fabulous. And then CREC would pay me to go talk to another daycare association. Hey, I'm home all day with the kids, but I'm getting paid $100 to drive to the next town. This is pretty wild. And that was the start of my career. I wouldn't be here today without that experience. But it's compensation, and then, Karen, you were talking about, coaching is going to be important, and coaching is important, but it's like, we're giving to the provider, we're giving you training, we're giving you coaching, we're giving you mentoring. What are you doing for the profession? So if you can teach these providers to be presenters, to give back to the profession, then you're really building their competence and self-esteem. And that's going to build, I think, the direction we want to go in for family child care in particular. I'm still pretty passionate about family child care providers, even all these years later. So anyway, that's my comment. And I love being a trainer. My hope for the future is to be able to continue doing it. I learn as much from my participants as I do from whatever information I'm trying to share with them.
Hey, Kathy, following you. I'm thinking that in my future, I want to be in a place where, like you were talking, how can we sustain and build our workforce so that we have people who are lined up, ready to take that torch to the next level? And if there's a way to do the train the trainer model, or through coaching or peer learning, how can we collaborate and start thinking of some pathways for sustaining the work within programs so that they can design their own and take that on? So I see my role as being a mentor, being a supporter, and in any way that we can support all of the spaces where early childhood programs provide, be it Head Start, home care, even some kids are in hospitals. If we can think about the bigger workforce and how to sustain the efforts, I think that would be a good thing.
I'd like to go next to piggyback on what you both just said, thinking about the future workforce and the capacity and the potential that we have actually already in our programs. So can we recognize and lift up and go with and support programs to build internal capacity, to build leaders within their programs, to support them, and We hope to do some recruiting work around that in the next year or so coming up. Thinking about, like, are you interested in a different career path, but not leaving the classroom? Stay in the classroom, but you can also learn how to bring back good learning that you've learned. So thinking about how that looks different within a program, so that people can train around a topic that they went to a conference about and then come back and share that information and create their own PLC. Professional learning doesn't always have to cost money, right? So some of this stuff can actually be done internally and in-house if we help to set up the structure and think about how you can do it in a way that's successful. And the other thing I really hope is that people that are working in the field have joy about working with young children and families. Because if there's no joy, it's the wrong profession, right? So yes, we do need to compensate people better to find the joy sometimes, but at the same time, find that inner peace about why you're doing what you're doing, because it is a profession, right? Or we want it to be a profession. And if we don't treat it as a profession, it will never be. And lastly, I think I look forward to a future workforce that's connected and curious and competent, and has recognizes that within we've got great opportunities to support children to be the best that they can be, and families to support families to honor and respect who and what they know about their kids.
And I just want to say, you know, as Elevate is Connecticut's quality improvement system, we're strengthening every day. And for us to be that connective piece to help providers find that pathway to the right professional learning path for them, and that support is really where we hope, you know, providers know that they can come to us for that support and we can guide them on the right path. And regarding the new updated website, we are putting together focus groups. We have focus groups that are set in place to start in February to really look at the website. We've built it based on assumptions of what, you know, we think people like looking for PD, and, you know, they like looking by topic, or they might like looking by date. And so we've created it by assumption, and, you know, we're really going to get people in there, providers like you all, to go in there, check it out, play with it, and let us know, did we meet the mark? Do we need to make adjustments? And then over time, as we strengthen it, really make it so that it's meeting the needs of the state, and over time, just really building it so it's what can really get everybody to where they need to be, and so that everybody knows, like, this is where I can go to get to where I need to be professionally, and this is where I can go to grow and build the skills that I want to and need to, and to keep that passion going. And so we hope this is a really great foundational start to get to where we all want to be, and so that we're all connected in that piece, and getting in that path all together. So we're really excited about that.
I want to make sure I don't exclude. We all have responded, and responses have been wonderful, wonderful. And I so appreciate how all of you are recognizing the highs and the lows, but all in all, recognizing the growth that is a part of the process. And that is certainly something that we all want to remember in those moments when things are going as planned and when things do not go as planned. And we certainly know as a team here, we have experienced that real time, as recent as within the hour. But nonetheless, the team is still here and representing quite well. Question have for you now. Where can people find your offerings? Each and every one of you represents a wonderful entity of resources, and we want to make sure that others can access the information as well. So where can people find your offerings? And I will start with Paquita, please.
Hello, everyone. You can find out about CERC, even if you Google CERC, ctcerc.org, ctserc.org. I can put a link in the chat and you'll see a calendar of professional development. At CERC, we serve educators who are teaching children birth all the way through 12, and as well as some of this family engagement events. So that's where you can reach CERC. Thanks for putting it in the chat.
I can hop in. So we also have a calendar on our site. We have just redesigned our website. And so one of the things we are trying to do is to make our calendar as inclusive as possible. So we have a request for inclusion form on there for any agency providing professional development where they are interested in having that listed on our site. We offer that completely free for them. For the field, you can search by month or you can search by list. So if you don't want to, if someone doesn't want to scroll through all of the months, it's very easy to switch it over and get the list of everything that's available. And we do have a full conference page up there as well. And then the other thing we have is a for employers section where we list all of the Elevate information for childcare employers where they can access the Protrax calendar and other OEC initiatives that are happening.
I'll jump in. So the link to all of the new OEC PD page is the same PD link that's been utilized. It's just been updated and renewed. So it's ctoec.org/professional development. So you can go to the for providers section and you can get all of the new updated information there. So thank you so much.
Okay, and 211 Childcare can be found at www.211childcare.org. That's my telephone voice because we answer the phone that way all the time. But if you go to our webpage, at the top of the page, it will say parents, it'll say providers, there's resources there, and then it will also say register for a training. So you can click on register for a training and find out what we're offering there.
Love the telephone voice. You
Hey,
can
I
see on
started
this,
my career at Kmart doing blue light specials. So yes, that's my voice.
amazing. Folks can see on the screen the All Our Kin website, which is allourkin.org. And if you go to / all our services, that's where our PD is listed. And just so everyone here is aware, All Our Kin's PD is open to all family childcare educators in Connecticut. And it's not that we're not welcoming other people, but our PD is specifically designed for family childcare.
And has everyone shared?
Nope. I'll go next. RESC Alliance, I'm representing. So the RESC Alliance is made up of 6 different RESCs across the state. And you can see on our map there that we have different areas and different links for different calendars are there as well. But anything that's OEC funded is actually on the OEC website. So you should be available on the calendars that are listed out previously. And then we also list on our own events pages as well. The one thing I want to make sure is that the GEAR, there it is on the ACES website, the GEAR Online Learning Hub. So there's actually opportunities for short tutorials on technology, as well as trainings for families, as well as trainings for staff. And then there's also, this year, what's new is we're doing some free in-person training as well across the state. And you can find that on the GEAR Online Learning Hub.
Thank you, thank you, thank you, thank you, thank you. I think that was 6 thank yous. Wanted to give a thank you to each and every one of you who served on our panel. Thank you so much for making it real in terms of why professional learning is important now and will be important tomorrow. Thank you for your time and your energy and your passion. And with that, we'll pass the baton back to Dr. Deb Adams.
Thank you, everyone. I'm sitting here crying because I'm so proud and so grateful to work with and partner with so many great people around the state in your work and designing and delivering professional learning. I just heard so many of the same types of words that Janet in a few minutes is going to sort of summarize for us. But thank you so much for being a part of this panel. And before we get to Janet and some closing words from Janet, we have two more providers to hear from, actually. We have Sarah and Kelly. And Sarah is a toddler teacher, and she's going to talk about seeking professional development and the value of sharing perspectives and how investing in PD helps you and the children you care for. And then Kelly is a provider and an owner of a program, and she started out as a special education teacher and now is a childcare provider and owner. And Kelly talks about how professional development has helped her in business and to be involved in early care and education. So I'm going to turn it back over to Jen to watch these last 2.5 minutes of some video, and then I'll introduce Janet. And everything about where to find professional development has been put in the chat for folks that are looking.
Professional learning is a crucial element of the work of all educators through our entire careers. My work requires specific professional development to happen throughout the year, but I've also reached out to my colleagues to find more opportunities and through internet searches and word of mouth. I would have to say it's never too early in your career to think about professional development. Investing in yourself as an educator is the best way to ensure both career growth and academic growth for your students. In your first year of teaching, there are bound to be bumps along the way. However, with help from professional development courses, you can be more prepared and ready to tackle challenges that the first year or two may throw at you. Taking part in professional development courses will expand your skill set and build up your teacher toolkit, so you have everything you need to start your career off strong. I think participating in professional development courses expose all teachers to new ideas and perspectives, perhaps some that we haven't thought of before. A wealth of new knowledge will come from actively participating in professional development courses. The more professional development I think teachers get, the more likely students are to succeed in the classroom. Whether it's a workshop, a conference, or a meeting, all new teachers should take part in some sort of professional development to set themselves up for success.
I just want to start by saying I've been a teacher. I was a teacher for over 20 years in New York, special education. And when I started childcare, I started at about 2020. And it's just been really, really a good community, not just Stamford where I am, but the whole Connecticut. And it's been an amazing journey so far. I find out about the opportunities for development, professional development, mainly through the Office of Early Childhood, through the emails and the communication with emails, the communication with calling 211. They're very good at sending memos, sending new opportunities. I actually just enrolled probably last month or 2 months ago in a program called the Elevate program through the Office of Early Childhood. And it was a great program to enhance your business, to enhance your childcare through education. And it was really great. The different programs, the different trainings are really updated, and they've helped me learn a lot of different things more, each year or so, or each couple of years. Children and the way they learn and the way they, advance, it's different, different skills you're learning. And I've learned, sometimes you think you know everything when you work with kids. You had children and you think, oh, I know this. And it's not true. Every course, every training, I'm learning something new. Just be involved. Don't just think of the trainings as something that you have to do. Take the trainings, learn from them, join the community of providers. There's a lot of outreach for providers. There's a lot of outreach on Facebook pages. There's a lot of outreach throughout the Office of Early Childhood. And just don't be intimidated to join the community.
So what better way than to hear from people that are in the field and how they're engaging in professional learning? So I'm so thankful for O'Donnell for putting those snippets together for videos. And, you know, I'm really happy to introduce Janet Humphyres to provide some of our closing thoughts today. Janet is co-founder, principal coach, and consultant for Dynamic Coaching Systems. She's also an instructor at the University of Colorado, Denver, teaching the Early Childhood Coaching Certificate. She has over 45 years of experience in the early childhood education field, developing federal, tribal, state, and local organization systems, and providing specialized child development, mental health and trauma-informed care, and shared leadership supports to over 150 early childhood programs as a National Head Start Technical Assistance Specialist for 17 years. I know Janet mostly through the Early Childhood Coaching Certificate that Diane and I about 2 years ago now was a pleasure to be part of that year-long experience. And I won't speak for Diane, but I think both of us really came away with knowing a lot more about our own self and what we bring to the field and how to support others in the field to see themselves. And so we really appreciate that experience that we've had with you, Janet. And so welcome, Janet, and thank you for providing us our closing thoughts, which we have about 5 or 6 minutes for. Take it away.
Great. Thanks so much, Deb. What a pleasure to be here. I'm originally from New Jersey, 50 years out here in the sacred lands of the Cheyenne. So it's great to be a part of Connecticut once again. And oh my goodness, wow, what a powerful message we've heard here from some incredibly wise women, women who have been in the profession a long time. Deb started us off today saying that professional learning is about elevating your personal self so that you can be your best and you can really add to your life, right? There's no professional without the person, and that person is really needed to be whole if we want children to be well. It is a parallel process. So we need to think of professional learning more broadly, as you've heard a lot about today. We want to make sure the children are well. And I think of one of my very first times that I got to the level of, I get to go to this really great NAOIC conference. And at the same time, or actually a couple days before, there was another conference that was involving shaman and out-of-the-box thinking scientists. And I thought, I don't know why I'm called to go here, but I need to go there. And just realized that it renewed my spirit so incredibly much. So that spiritual development or that sense of purpose, right? It renewed that, why am I here in this lifetime? Why have I chosen the most purposeful work of learning with children, right? I didn't need more of how to work with children. I needed more of the why to really ignite my passion for working with them and really evolve my learning in being with them. And, so Deb mentioned that professional learning happens within you, not to you. And that is so true. That's what needs to be added to our professional learning, added to the professional development opportunities that we choose. So, and we need to include some reflection time. And all of our wonderful panelists today were really talking about how to renew yourselves, right? And I've created programs all over. Peer coaching programs is what I seem to be focused on these days. All of us need not just coaching partners, but we need thinking partners to really explore with them what you need professionally, but also personally. How do we maintain being responsive to children when our resilience is actually fairly low, right? Everyone needs this. That parallel process is critical. So years later, after that conference, I returned and started a group there in the most impoverished areas of Denver, 18 different centers. And what we realized was everyone needed that personal boost, that boost in confidence, as some of our panelists had really mentioned. The panelists presented lots of challenges that they're going through. And yes, the how is important, no doubt about it. But then the who and the why, it's also important. We need to keep that focus on who those people are that are out there supporting early childhood, supporting the children, the families, and the development actually of human beings, right? And to do that, we really need to reach a higher level of thinking about it. We need to involve that prefrontal cortex in the thinking area, but we also need to involve our hearts. How do we develop our hearts' compassion for all? And in particular, some of the children that are coming these days. I've been in this profession a very long time, and teaching is very different to the children who are very different today than they were a half a century ago. So we need to bring in, how do we live into that purpose of being with children? And we need to do that more than passing assessments, right? So I just want to really mention that, because our future world really depends on the human quality of the thinking and the being of those children. And so we need to ignite our own deep thinking and being so that we can support that of all those we touch in our lives. My very favorite professional learning these days often comes from connecting with creative and high-level thinking humans, right? Diane and Deb are two of them. I so enjoy just having conversation with them that really challenges our thinking, challenges the way that we perceive things so that we can broaden those perceptions. It's absolutely exhilarating. And I just love things that make me go, let me give that one some more thought. We typically learn more from the people that challenge our thought process than we do with those that affirm our conclusions, don't you think? So most of us are here today. We all have that compelling desire to live and work for something beyond ourselves, to live with that purpose. My life purpose is about connecting and inspiring others to connect and inspire themselves so that they in turn can connect and inspire with the children. And to do that, we really need to be listening. We need to gather our own potential strengths and capacities that are possible if we invite them forward and allow them to emerge. Our panelists offered so many amazing resources, including themselves, right? And so much of what they said, I would absolutely, totally agree with, in particular, Diane's final comment about bringing joy. I have joy up in my background here. I don't know if you can see it, but that's something that I constantly inspire myself with. So now it's up to you to find yourself. Discover what makes you who you are and why you've joined this profession. Reach out and explore what might best serve your learning needs, and challenge yourselves to think outside the box as to how those needs might be met. I want to offer an example of Diane here. Again, such an honor to have known her. She actually joined our coaching courses. We have year-long coaching cohorts, and she joined and sent me an email that was a thank you note to say that what an opportunity, and thanks for offering this out here. And she told us that she gave our program to herself as a gift. Well, it's all her fellow cohort members, including her instructors, that were indeed gifted with her and Deb's many contributions. And that's what co-learning is all about. We're always learning from each other. When we attune to our own needs and seek out what serves us, we grow exponentially, both personally and professionally. And this is what supports us in reaching our highest human potential. And that's what supports children and families to reach theirs. So think about all the professional learning clues and cues and callings that you might have gotten today. Think about critical learning experiences. The professional learning communities are so great because we share that learning. We build on the learning together. Find your meaning and purpose and humanly connect with others. We all desperately need that, especially now post-pandemic. Can't even say that. And no, you all do what many cannot. You give your physical, social, emotional, cognitive, and spiritual selves daily to protect and enlighten the lives of young children. No other occupation offers so much. You are part of a profession that transforms the human condition of the world. What you do every day is indeed so profound in shaping the present and future of so many lives. So find those opportunities to carry on with continued passion and great joy. Thanks for the opportunity to just address you today. Thank you for all that you do. Go find your joy and live into it. Thanks. Lorna?
Yes, pardon. I was so mesmerized I couldn't take myself off mute. I was saying, wow, thank you so very much for those wonderful words. Certainly see why so many look up to you and why so many find you inspiring that is. So thank you so much, Janet. Thank you, Janet, and thank all of you who took the time to share and to learn with us. I certainly want to share those that participated in today's webinar. Thank you very much, Diana, for opening us up and ensuring that we're able to effectively hear from our interpreters. Thank you, Sasha, and thank you, Carlene. Of course, thank you, Commissioner Bai, for your ongoing support of this effort and the work that we do. And we certainly cannot, we must rather, make sure to thank Dr. Deb Adams. Thank you so much, not only for your wonderful opening keynote message, but certainly for the lines of connection that you continue to sow through so many entities and so many resources in an inspiring, authentic way. Thank you so much, Deb. We also want to thank Simone for sharing her voice and sharing her testimony of why this work is important. And of course, thank our wonderful panelists. Thank you, Diane. Thank you, Dana. Thank you, Paquita, Karen, Kathleen, and Jeannie. Thank you all so very much. And last, but again, not least, Janet, thank you so much for your wonderful closing message, leaving us all with a sense of knowing that what we've talked about today is not just a here and now. This is something that is ongoing. So on behalf of the Office of Early Childhood, we thank you all for your time, your attention, and support. And remember, training is an event. Learning is a process. Today is one day of that learning. Please have it to continue on. Thank you all. Be well.